is somebody way out there. Like you can't sit like this and talk to a pastor and just talk to him, engage him. So this is an epidemic all over the world in terms of Christian leadership. We've got it wrong, and got to bring it back.
Pastor, if I can ask another follow-up question to that, something that blew me away, and I've learned so much from you, and something that blew me away even just by seeing your website. Can I make an honest confession here? I was taken to task by one of the event organizers here for the first day of the conference that we did, because I couldn't get a picture of Pastor, right? So I tried Dr. Google, tried to get a good picture of his, went on the website, couldn't find a picture of him. There was no picture of him on the website. So basically the person who was organizing the event on the first day said, "What's wrong with you? Can't get me a single picture of this man." And I was like, "There's nothing online. All I can get you is like a screenshot from one of the messages, from one of the videos or something." But when you talk about being invisible, talking about is one thing. What really strikes me about you, Pastor, what blows me away about you is that you don't just speak it, you live it out. So I just want to thank you for that. That means so much. Because preaching is easy, walking the talk is another thing altogether. So I just want to thank you for that, Pastor. And the other thing that struck me was when I went onto your website, I actually saw financial statements up there. Could you speak to us a bit about accountability and transparency from that point of view, both as from an organization, company perspective, as well as from a church perspective?
If you don't want to just make a statement on the earlier thing that you said, then I'll talk about this financial. One of the things we decided at the very beginning of the ministry was never to project a leader. I wanted the church, I wanted the ministry not to be focused on me, but it has to be about Jesus. So from the very beginning, intentionally, we never used my picture anywhere. So I said, we have a media team of 6 people working on our television programs, everything, and all of them are under clear instructions. You never project me anywhere. You don't use my picture. Why? Because people should come because of Jesus, not because of me. So on all the books we printed, we've never put my picture, or we don't even have a bio of me. Or when we do our conferences, intentionally, we don't put my picture. You did something, but this is because you're organizing it. But otherwise, in all our conferences, we never put my pictures. No. On our television programs, we're on God TV all over Asia, but we do not promote it as Ashish Raichur. You don't see the picture. So all of this was done intentionally, even on the website. No picture of my wife, because when people come, they come because of the Word. They come because of Jesus, not because of this great man of God. So all of that is done intentionally. Our media team is under clear instructions on what you promote the program, not the person. You promote. People should come because of the value they're going to receive in the conference. That they know that they are going to receive, sound teaching, solid ministry, not because this great famous man is here. That's it. About the financial thing, that's another area where from the very beginning, I lived in the US, I saw all the nonsense that was happening there. And I said, this is not the way the church should be. And unfortunately, this is not just in the United States, it's all over the world. It's rampant in my own city, in our own city in Bangalore, where preachers abuse the ministry for their own financial gain. I could never imagine Jesus Christ doing what preachers do today when it comes to money. You can never imagine that. But unfortunately, the church is so caught up with the way preachers do things, and they feed into it. So I believe the church is also responsible for the kind of leaders who we're raising up who just have no standards of financial control or integrity. And so from the very beginning of the time we started church, everything was accounted for. Properly accounted for. We had an accounting system, an auditor, everything in place from day one. And all our financial statements have been documented. We tell all our church members, anybody is welcome to walk into the church office and check the accounts. Anybody's welcome to do it. And then we went a step further where we published all our audited statements online. So anybody can see it, whether you're a church member, you're not a church member, it's all there. So we want to do what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 3. He said, we conduct ourselves in ministry, and I'm paraphrasing this, but we conduct ourselves in such a way that we will offend nobody. Nobody will find a finger to point against us. So all our statements are audited. It's available for anyone. They can come and see it. But how do most ministries conduct themselves? Money comes in, it probably goes to the preacher, and nobody's allowed to question. You can never run an organization outside in the world like that, but it's happening in the church. Who's responsible? You and I. Because we're not raising our voice, we're not asking questions. It's clearly against the instruction of Scripture. 1 Peter chapter 5 says, Peter writes to the leaders, and he says, you must do it without greed for gain. So, how can Christian leaders today manage finances with no accountability to the people who are giving the money? That is not the way you run an organization. You've got to be accountable. How are you going to be accountable? You've got to let them see the accounts. You've got to publish it. Because this is an organization that is by the people. But most pastors, and I've had so many people come in Bangalore to come and talk to me about this. They give the money, and then if they ask the pastor, for instance, the pastor will say, okay, I need a church, I'm going to buy land, give money. Then they collect the money, but then there is no land bought, the pastor buys a big car. Serious, it all happens in Bangalore, happens probably everywhere. Now, the church member goes and asks the pastor, this money was supposed to be raised for the car, raised for the land, but what happened to it? It's not none of your business. Sometimes they even say, God told me to use that money to buy the car. Who are you to question? And if you don't like it, please leave. Is this the kind of leadership you want? Is this accountability? Paul said, when it comes to money, 2 Corinthians 8, he says, we conduct ourselves in a way to be right, honorable in the sight of God and also in the sight of man. Most pastors say, it's between me and God, don't worry about man. That's not the Bible. I have to be honorable in the sight of God and man. That means I let you see the church's finances. The same thing, you come into the business side, as a CEO, I definitely get a much larger salary than other employees, but I need to pay myself a fair value, fair salary. Salary is fair to what I bring into the organization. Right? So I hold myself accountable in those things. That yes, I may have benefits and more than others, but that's because of the value I bring to the organization, not because I just want to be lavish or something. The other thing I see, and I'm not against staying in nice hotels or anything, but preachers will go to places where they're given good. Like you mentioned, they go to places where there's a nice. They're put up in 5-star hotels, and this happened in 2012. We're having a huge conference in Delhi. We're bringing 10,000 young people into the stadium to minister to them for 5 days on 14 states in North India from level 1 districts, meaning from districts where there is the percentage of Christian response 0.1% or less. So imagine this opportunity. Our intention was in these 5 days, equip these 10,000 young people, send them back into these districts so that they can be witness with Jesus. So we are, part of that organizing thing. We call the pastor. He's a pastor of a very large church, everything. Pastor, come and preach. We'll give you, one or two sessions like that. We're bringing in key leaders to minister. And you know what this pastor responds? He says, I can come, but I need to be put up in a 5-star hotel that has a gym, that has a 24-hour room service. So this was a requirement. So I'm thinking, what nonsense. Can't you look at the opportunity? 10,000 young people are coming, and here you're making these kinds of demands to come and minister to such people. And I replied back, I told the other person, I said, you write it back and saying, the rest of us preachers, we're all staying in a YMCA in a kind of a small hall. We have a room for you there. You can stay with all of us here. And he didn't come. The pastor of the big church. He didn't come to preach, right? So somewhere, even in the area of finances, in the area, we've got things, we've lost things. If the Son of God could leave heaven to come into the earth to minister to me, why would I consider it too much to go to a village to preach the gospel? Why do I insist I need to have an AC room, air-conditioned car, and an escort to get me from, only then I will come and preach. Somewhere we've lost something. And of course, most pastors will say, I travel so much, and so my body needs a comfortable bed, and all those excuses, they're the modern excuses for modern preachers. But yes, I know you need a good night's rest and all that, but there's got to be sacrifice. Willingness. So I've slept in the best hotels and also slept in chicken coops. Done everything to preach the gospel, to take Christ. So finances is, this whole area of finances needs to be kept in order. I think partly as a church, as believers, we need to hold leaders accountable. Otherwise they will never change.
Wow. On another note, Pastor, I want to talk about transparency. I think you don't know this. I think I'm telling you this for the first time. But when I'd gone to Bangalore during that season, when I didn't have a job for all those months, I think the first service I attended, I came out and I saw this DVD and I picked it up. It was a Pastors and Leaders Conference that you had done in 2013. And I took it home. It had 4 DVDs in it. Like 4 DVDs, Pastors and Leaders Conference. This is going to be interesting. And I think I devoured it in 4 or 5 hours of teaching was there in that. And what blew me away more than the honesty was your transparency, where you were so open about challenges that you face and about difficulties you went through, even in terms of marriage and a lot of other areas. If you could share about that, Pastor, I think the leaders in this room would need to hear that. And could you even speak a bit about transparency as well?
Yeah, I think, Paul writes in 2 Timothy 3:10, he writes to Timothy, he says, Timothy, you have known me, you've known my teaching, but it doesn't stop there. He continues in that verse, he says, you've known my manner of life, you know my faith, my purpose, my persecutions. You've known all of this. Meaning, if I want to raise up Timothy's, they need to know not just my doctrine, my teaching, they need to know my manner of life. They need to know my purpose, my faith, my trials, my affliction. They need to know me as a person. People are molded more by what they see than by what they hear. And so one of the things we try to do in church is just, be real, be who you are. Now, of course, I don't come up every Sunday morning and tell them all my problems of the week. that's not, I don't do that. We keep the ministry focused on the Word and all that, and the working of the Spirit. But the point is, we just need to be real. This is what we're going through. I remember in 2000.